Welcome to the second lesson on the cycle of duplication, what we call first base. After getting started properly, it's time to start introducing the Freedom Equity Group retirement program and our opportunity to people that we know. I know there are many temptations to delay this process, such as we have to wait till our business cards arrive, or we want to get organized in our office, or a host of other distractions. But now is the time to move. We learn by the doing, not by the thinking of how we're going to do it. As Jim Rohn says, many times there are always those who are studying the roots, while the rest of the crowd are picking the fruits. It's time for us to be picking the fruits. We need to set a goal to start introducing our opportunity and the Retire with Dignity program at least twice a day in our first 30-day sprint. So who would be a possible prospect that might not have a viable retirement plan, who is putting money away in IRAs and 401ks that don't know there's a better alternative? Who's open to helping us spread the word on our crusade to help America? These people would be the first you would want to start with. But many times we do not know who they are, and so the best way to start is to be going through that list of people that you made from the getting started part of the presentation. These people are known as our friends, our relatives, our acquaintances. They are the people that know you and trust you, and from this list, you will have your highest level of success. Remember, it's a numbers game. And although you know of the great benefits that can be achieved through our program and the financial rewards that come from the opportunity, not everyone you speak with will have the same degree of belief or open-mindedness. This is okay. There are hundreds of millions of people out there, and you're looking for only a few people to be dedicated and committed as you are. Now, I know you'll have the temptation to want to advertise or use the internet immediately to try to market your business. This would be a mistake, in that if you cannot gain the interest and attention of people you already know and trust, then you'll not have the success that you're looking for from total strangers, even if they answered your ad. You have to gain the posture and techniques of building your FEG business first with those you know, and then you can use what you have learned to transition into the cold market. Before you even get to the cold market, you'll be able to slowly transition into the second segment of prospects, those that are referred to you by friends and relatives and acquaintances. As you're prospecting and showing people how they can retire in a tax-free environment, you'll want to ask for referrals immediately. You should know that every person you have on your prospect list is a conduit to just as many other possible candidates for our program and our opportunity. Utilizing this referral base can give you a seemingly endless supply of people to be speaking with. When speaking with people about our program and opportunity, there is a series of questions that you should be prepared to ask, such as, who do you know that would like to change their retirement nest egg from a taxable one to a tax-free one? If you were in my business, who would you be speaking with about what we have to offer? Who do you know that may be interested in supplementing their income or looking for a plan B? Who do you know that has been involved in network marketing in the past? Who do you know that's a self-starter? And finally, another great source of prospects is going to be the people that you meet on a daily basis. They're going to be people that you just meet casually during various activities you do daily. This, again, is going to be an unending source of prospects, and you'll want to get to know a little bit about these people as you build a relationship so you can breach that subject of your opportunity at a later time. You can be asking questions such as, what do you do for a living? How's that going for you? Do you enjoy it? Have you ever considered doing something else? And so on. There are two approaches to building a business, the product approach and the opportunity approach. Quite simply, the product approach leads with our retirement program, with the intent of getting a client, which will hopefully then in turn lead to that client becoming interested in being part of the business. The second method is the opportunity approach, in which you lead with the opportunity with the hopes that someone interested in the opportunity will become a product of the product and lead to that ever-expanding network of new clients. While the product approach is much easier, if you have a great testimony, such as how our program is solving your retirement dilemma, or put you on the road to a tax-free retirement, It's not necessarily true that a person who is sold on the product will be interested in the business. Just as someone who likes Italian food in a particular restaurant may not want to be the owner of that restaurant. Therefore, since the product approach is self-evident and part of your everyday activity, I want to concentrate this lesson on the business approach, finding and working with people who are interested in taking advantage of the opportunity with Freedom Equity Group and building an organization. This is what is known as the exposure part of the business, the various ways in which you can help people become familiar with what we have to offer and obtaining a positive decision from them to join you in the business. But please remember that through this process, you'll also be obtaining your clients. If you master this art of inviting better than anything else, you will not survive, but rather thrive in FEG. Mastering the art of the invitation is vital to your success. We have discussed so far where you will find the people you want to talk to, your warm market, their referrals, and your new market or people you meet every day. There will be a separate lesson on working in the cold market or people who respond to ads such as social media or the internet or whatever. But for now, this is where the rubber meets the road, where you are tasked to invite prospects to take a look at this business. There are many different venues of exposure for your business opportunity, from home meetings to hotel meetings, Saturday trainings, conference calls, live and recorded webinars, CDs, and sizzle calls. But regardless of the venue you choose and which is best for you, you'll still have to make the invitation. You may choose to invite people over the phone, via email, or in person. So let's say, for example, that you're going to invite someone to take a look at your opportunity, whether you're going to do this in person or over the phone. There are some cardinal rules that you must follow. We'll call them the 4 C's. The first thing you want to do with your prospect when they answer the phone is to clear the time. That is, you want to ask, is this a good time to talk? You don't want to start into your invitation and then find out that they're in the middle of something and they put you off. If they say that this is not a good time to talk, you want to accept that and not start into any type of invitation, but rather ask, when would be a good time to talk? If they say, well, what's it all about? Simply say that you don't want to interrupt what they're doing right now, but would rather call at another time. What would be the best time? Once you have cleared the time, and it's okay to talk, now you first want to compliment your prospect. Let them know that you admire them and value their opinion, or think that they are the right type of person that you would want to work with. This is your first C, and put your prospect in a good mood and that everyone wants to know that they're appreciated in some manner. The second C is that you want to create curiosity. As we go into the invitation, you'll see how this is done, but the point to remember here is that you want to get them to look forward to getting all of the information on your opportunity and the venue that you have invited them to. This means that you do not want to explain the opportunity to them over the phone. Even if you're good at it, remember that this is a business of duplication, and most people will fail at trying to answer questions over the phone before their prospect has seen and heard a full explanation. This, of course, leads us to our third C, and that you want to control yourself. Too often, new agents have diarrhea of the mouth. They're so excited about what they know and don't know how to effectively explain it all, and they end up trying to do this, and simply it won't work. You want to give only enough information to secure the appointment for the meeting, webinar, or conference call. And finally, our fourth C is one of commitment. And a maybe is not a commitment. The result of your invitation must be that your prospect will make the webinar or meeting or whatever. Not that they'll try. If the prospect is lacking in commitment, quite frankly, you should withdraw the invitation. In a polite manner, no doubt. But let them know you have limited capability and that you can touch base with them later on. But accepting a maybe is the same as accepting a no. So now you're ready to begin prospecting by calling those on your list and inviting them to take a look at Freedom Equity Group and the great opportunity. The first thing you want to do is to prepare for the call. That means getting away into a quiet room where you'll not be interrupted. Set a goal for yourself on how many commitments to look at the opportunity you'll get. And make a commitment to yourself that you will not stop this activity until you have the desired result. A series of small goals that are accomplished will lead you into having larger goals come to pass. Think positively. Your current attitude will come through in your voice inflection. People will read between the lines and know how you feel. They'll feel your spirit. They'll feel your confidence. As you select each person to call, concentrate for a moment on that person. Determine how you'll compliment them and try to get the idea on why they would be interested in joining you in FEG. Remember, people will do things for their own reasons, not for yours. Now, make the call and be smiling. Yeah, smiling. This will have an effect on how you come across. Even though your prospect can't see you, they can sense it. And as we said before, you want to clear the time when they answer and then start with some small talk. Remember, these people know you as a friend or acquaintance. It would be out of character to start a conversation about a business or an opportunity. Be genuinely interested in how they are and how the family is instead of just starting off with what you have to offer. Remember, people really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. After this, you should have already selected the approach that you'll want to use from the selection in this lesson on approaches. You can use one of these approaches or a combination of several scripts, but the important thing is that you're comfortable with it. Your prospect is listening to your music more than your words. If they sense that you're convinced about what you're saying, they'll also be convinced. At no time should you sound like you're chasing them or really need them to join you. You are offering the best opportunity available today. And in today's economy, we all know how important that can be. There are many different points of exposure you can use for your business, such as the conference calls, the replicated FEG website, the webinars, local meetings, etc. The point of the next few minutes is to give you some scripts and different types of approaches. You can use these as the basis for creating your own script that you're comfortable with. Remember, these scripts are for gaining interest directly in the FEG business opportunity. The first approach is simply called the direct approach. An example of this would be after some small talk and a genuine compliment, you could say, "Susan, I've recently been introduced to a multi-billion-dollar company. It's over 100 years old and has developed a way for people to retire with dignity in a tax-free environment. It beats the heck out of IRAs and 401ks. As I thought of people, I thought you might be interested in an opportunity to help people plan for their future. I put you on my short list. Susan, would you be open to receiving some information on this new concept to help people retire with dignity?" Notice that I said, would you be open to receiving information, not would you be interested. People would not know if they're interested until they receive the information. But most people are open to receiving information. If Susan says, "What is it?" you can say, "Great, then you're open to receiving the information." At this point, you can invite her onto the conference call, the live or recorded webinar, or any of the other venues to give an initial exposure to the opportunity. Remember that you're trying to do with the invitation is to gain the interest and arouse curiosity. You decide at this point whether scheduling a time for a live presentation or conference call, or which is the best way to go. Or is it appropriate to take them directly to a recorded presentation or replicated website, sizzle call? Remember that if you're scheduling for the future time, you'll have the possibility that your prospect will have something come up in the meantime that would prevent them from attending. They may start their own due diligence on the internet without having enough to guide them correctly. On the other hand, if it appears that they are available right now to receive that additional information, you'll want to walk them through the recorded call, webinar, sizzle call, or replicated website. Remember that I said you will walk them through. That means that you do not give them the web address or phone number and say, "Give me a call when you've looked it over." You need to hold their hand and three-way them into the call or online with them. Walk them through the recorded webinar or replicated website. This is what is known as taking your prospect to the meeting rather than saying you should meet them there. This, of course, means that if you are using the presentation live as your preferred method of exposure, you should indeed pick up your prospect and take them to the meeting or whatever, not have them meet you there. If they're open to receiving more information, but you do not see that it's appropriate to put them on a call or webinar now, but want to schedule them, then you should state that there are a few of the business professionals in our business that are going to be doing a webinar, a conference call, or whatever. Explain to them that this is a great opportunity for them to get the information they need to evaluate the merits of our opportunity, and ask if they could join you on that call or webinar. Notice that I did not yet give them the time or the place for the call or meeting. I want to sell the event before I give the date. The reason for this is very simple. If they say no, they would not have the time, I know that I have failed at being an effective messenger, and that I have not created enough value or urgency in my invitation. Yet on the other hand, if they ask, when is it? Then I know they are interested enough that if the time I give them does not work out, I know that they are really saying no to the time, but have an interest, so I'll suggest an alternative time or method of exposure. Another direct approach, possibly for a business person, that after some small talk and a compliment, you could ask, Ken, there is a multi-billion-dollar company that has brought a unique twist to preparing for retirement in a tax-free environment. This could literally change the retirement planning landscape in America. They're looking for people with your skills who are open to receiving information on something that has a great upside potential without jeopardizing your full-time career. If the answer is positive or the question is, what is it? Proceed as we just discussed. Aside from the direct approach, you can use the consulting or opinion approach, where you are merely asking for someone's opinion. This is an easier approach, but for many people, it's also a weaker approach. You're not able to exude as much posture and conviction with this type of approach because of the very nature of asking for an opinion. An example of this would be, Sandy, I've recently started my own business to be in partnership with one of the leading financial planning firms in America. They have the ability to help people to be in business for themselves with virtually no downside risk. I've been very impressed how they're having such a positive impact on people's lives and their future. The results and the huge profit potential of the company is quite significant. Yet I value your opinion. Would you take a few minutes with me while I share you what I have found and give me your feedback? Another script may say, Tom, I have recently started my own business helping people help themselves to be able to plan for retirement without a downside risk to their funds and have that retirement in a tax-free status. I've partnered with a company that's at the forefront of this concept with billions of dollars in assets. I value your opinion. Can you give me a little time to see what I'm talking about and let me know what you think? The third approach is called the referral approach. Again, on all conversations, start with small talk and a compliment, and then you might say, Evelyn, I have recently teamed up with a group of business professionals that are on a crusade to help America retire with dignity. Now, I know that may sound strange, but then I realize that I'm in the same boat as most people. I may outlive my retirement income. After learning what they are doing and talking to the many people they have helped, I'm convinced they're on to something huge. Do you know anyone that is talented and aggressive that would be interested in diversifying their income and helping us and this company expand here? Now, Evelyn may respond with some names, but it's more likely that you'll start asking questions, which is your sign that she's interested. In response to the question, simply ask if she's open to receiving more information. If she responds positively, proceed with one of your preferred venues for exposure. And finally, there is the if I could show you approach. As the name implies, it's how you would open the invitation. Jim, if I could show you how you could have a solid second stream of income for yourself and your family without interfering with what you're currently doing, would it be worth a few minutes of your time? When you get a positive response, continue with your preferred method of exposure. Or, Jim, if I could show you how you could save for retirement and have your funds go up when the stock market goes up, but not down when the stock market goes down, and you can have your retirement free of income tax, would it be worth a few minutes of your time? A variation of this could sound like, Bob, just between you and me, have you ever thought of creating a secondary source of income with something different? Now, how many people would say no to that? After a positive response again, you'll want to invite them to your preferred exposure step. Notice with this script, I started with just between you and me, or you might say, Bob, off the record. The reason for this is, if you ask someone how it's going, the answer in most cases is positive, and things may not be going that great. By saying, between you and me or off the record, you're more likely to get into the more honest discussion of how things really are. Now that you have heard some of the examples of the scripts and the various approaches that are available to you, you'll need to write out a script or two that you like best. You can use what was provided here, but better yet, use the ideas presented and create your own script that sounds natural to you. You don't want to come across as using a prepared script, but rather you want to sound genuine in the way that your prospects are used to hearing you. So let's take a look at what we've discussed so far. In prospecting, you want to 1, be prepared for the call. 2, make the call. 3, start with small talk. 4, compliment your prospect. 5, make your approach. And now number 6, you need to be prepared for questions. If your prospect immediately asks you, well, what is it? You can consider yourself successful in the approach because you have created interest or aroused their curiosity. It's exactly what you wanted to do. In this question, they're not asking for a full-blown presentation, so our 4-minute overview or sizzle call is what you could respond with. One response would be that you could provide them with a simple 4-minute overview. Do you have 4 minutes right now? Another response is to state that the best way to get the most amount of information to them in the shortest period of time is to bridge them into a 4-minute synopsis by one of the leaders in the company. And after hearing that, you can get them any additional information that they would like. Sound fair enough? When they respond positively, say, well, hang on while I connect us. The next step in our process is to get a commitment from the prospect. What kind of commitment depends on the flow of the conversation. If someone listened to our 4-minute sizzle call, then you want to set them up for a meeting, a webinar, or a conference call. If someone made an appointment to look at some of the information in your absence, well, then you want to set up an appointment to follow up and be specific. For example, you might want to say that you're going to attend tonight's webinar. You might say, why don't we touch base after the webinar tonight and get all of your questions answered? If they say yes, then you should pick the time right then and there. So if the webinar is at 7, you might say, I'll be calling you precisely at 8 p.m. Remember, this would only be if your prospect wanted to get on the webinar themselves. The preferred method would be to bring them to the webinar. That is, tell your prospect that a few minutes before the webinar, you'll be calling them and 3-way them into the webinar. That way it saves them a toll charge. What you actually are doing is firming up their commitment to be on the webinar and also acting as a reminder in case they were to forget. These are the steps to the invitation. Once you have firmed up the method, time, and date that you're going to have your prospect be exposed to the Freedom Equity Group business, wrap up the call. If you continue the conversation, your prospect will inevitably ask you more questions about the business, which ruins the chance for them to see it in a duplicatable way. Never try to explain our opportunity over the phone. Not only does this usually end up in your prospect not being interested, but even if you are good at it, it's not duplicatable, and you're setting up your new agent for failure. What you have seen here are several scripts to use to invite your prospects to view and listen to a presentation on the FEG opportunity. And as we said earlier, if you master the art of the invitation, there is no limit to how far you can go with Freedom Equity Group. But I must point out that the art of the invitation is not only the mechanics of the invitation that you have seen here, but it really depends on the heart of the invitation. By this I mean the posture with which it is delivered. Remember, the people will listen to your music more than your words. Consider this for a moment. Can 2 different people deliver the same message to the same people but have different results? I think we can all agree that this is possible, even if they have the same script. In our business, you are the messenger, and the opportunity and program is the message. You have to learn how to become an effective messenger. And to be an effective messenger, it's not necessarily the script you use, but the posture in which the message is delivered. To help you how to become effective with the message you are delivering, I invite you to view the lesson in the Academy entitled Recruiting, the Sure Way to Success. There's a lot more support material in here in this Freedom Academy that'll help you with the first part of the cycle of duplication. So now we have rounded first base. Our prospects are being invited and exposed to our opportunity. Although it would be nice if that's all you needed to do, but you'll find in most cases your prospect will not just call you up right afterwards and say, "Great, I'm in." It is much more likely that they'll have doubts, they'll have questions, and they'll be interested but not convinced. This is where our next lesson will take you through the steps of building belief in your prospects. Second base in our cycle of duplication. We'll see you there.